Yo, what is going on, guys? Jaquan here with another gameplay, and we got myself playing the Ruby Amethyst Evasive deck versus our buddy here who's playing a Ruby Sapphire deck. Now, he is a seasoned Ruby Sapphire player. He's been playing it for the longest time, so very, very good player on that. Now, with how the meta is shaping up, we are noticing a lot of tops with Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire, and Amber Steel decks right now. So really excited to showcase what both decks are doing here in the meta, especially because Ruby Sapphire just recently got a nerf in the terms of Hiram. And again, like Hiram was their biggest card advantage that they're using in the deck, right? To just come back from having no hand and coming back from, having like nothing on the board either, right? Because all you got to do is just draw a Hiram, draw a Popsicle, and then you're back into the game a lot of the times. So here we are again. It's going to be a 2-game format. The Ruby Sapphire player will be going first, and he's going to start it off with playing the Popsicle. So again, in Ruby Sapphire, they're going to want to always see a 1-drop and then a turn 2 ramp. So we're probably going to see that next. And that turn 2 ramp generally is going to be Azurite Sea or Tipo. Alright, so we're starting off just inking a Pegasus 2-drop evasive, which is essentially a 2-drop, 3 strength, 1 willpower, and it's just evasive, quest for 1, so it has the same exact stats as Sir Hiss, which is the Emerald version. Unfortunately, we didn't see any 1-drops in this deck right now for the Ruby Amethyst. We are playing the Diablo 1-drop and Chernobog 1-drop. Okay, so he inks the Vitalisphere and sets off the T-Bow for turn 2, ramping him up to be able to drop a 4-drop on turn 3. And generally, in this case here, they'll probably want to have like a Grammatala or How Far Ago, things like that. So we are going to be dropping the 2-drop Pegasus Evasive. Now, this is really good because, again, when it comes to this particular matchup, Ruby Sapphire doesn't have too much evasive answers aside from the Maui Shark. So a lot of our evasive characters are going to stick around to quest until we can slowly start to build up that ramp and remove our characters through B prep, big Sisus, Tremaines, and Medusas. So this is a crazy tech that he played against me. It was Nothing to Hide. So Nothing to Hide allows you to see your opponent's hand and then draw 1. So it's practically like a Diablo. And it's also a 1-drop action, which is very, very crucial for those Maui Shark plays because it's a very cheap action. You're going to be able to gain 1 lore using it with that Maui Shark. And it's just super versatile and came in clutch for the Ruby Sapphire player multiple times in these 2 games here. So very excited to showcase this new tech that the Ruby Sapphire player is playing, and really caught me off guard with this one too. It works so well on curve if you have like turn 2 Azurite Sea, right? And then you can just ink and then use the Nothing to Hide. So I do ink and pass, unfortunately, just because I don't have any 3-drops. Very, very slow start. And this isn't always the worst thing because Ruby Amethyst is able to contest the Ruby Sapphire in mid to late game, as long as we slowly start to find all our draw cards. Then we can start slapping some big things on board too, right? Like Maui Half Shark that we play. So he does Tamatoa, being able to get back both Popsicles. Now, keep in mind that these Popsicles don't have to particularly heal something, but you can still use it, right? So it can heal for 0, which means that they both get sent back to the discard, allowing you to add it back with Tamatoa Happy as a Clam. Okay, so we play the Genie, and we quest for 1, bringing us to 2-2. But we are quite far behind now, so he will just drop the Maui Half Shark and sing I believe that one is All Is Found. So All Is Found is a new card in Arcasia's Island that allows you to ink 2 cards from your discard pile, exerted, which is really good because in this particular deck that the Ruby Sapphire is playing, he's playing a more burn-centric, like action-based deck where you can have a lot of your smaller actions like the Develop, Vision, and Nothing to Hide be used earlier in the turn or earlier in the game, going to the discard, fueling for All Is Found. So that's another way to just get more cards in there too, right? Because you have so many cheap actions. Okay, so I'm inking another Pegasus and using the Elsa, exerting the Maui Half Shark so that way I can take it out with both Elsa and the Pegasus. Because that Maui Half Shark, again, is going to be the one way that he can deal with all of our evasives. And that thing is probably going to trade with at least 2 of our evasives as well every time, right? And he's just going to keep getting more and more advantage by getting back his actions that he can reuse turn and turn after again. So he's going to play the Popsicle, and yeah, so he does look like he has another Tamatoa, happy as a clam. And this is like the power of this card too, right? Like, yes, it's very good with harm, but even on its own, it's still such a powerful card, which is why Ruby Sapphire still plays it, even if they're only running, just a handful of items like maybe Vitalispheres and Popsicles. Because as you can see here, like Popsicles, you can just use it, heal for 0, and then just keep adding it back with Tamatoa Happy as a Clam. And when Tamatoa Happy as a Clam, quests, you can play that other Popsicle for free, right? So it's just another way to recycle your Popsicles. It's not as quick and as good as Hiram, but it's definitely a really good card engine drawer, like on its own. And again, like, yeah, you are playing a smaller amount of items, but with Ruby Sapphire, they're playing a lot of, cantrips, right? So cards that are able to search the top of the deck through Develop, How Far I'll Go, Grammatala, right? So there's just a whole bunch of cards where they can just search for that Popsicle, thin out the top of their deck, right? Because the more cards that they go through, because all those cards put the rest of the cards to the bottom of the deck. Okay, so we are going to play our own Maui Half Shark here. So this allows us to at least have some stability because, if he doesn't have any outs to the Maui Half Shark, he does have to, take a second guess to see if he does want to really take a chance to exert those Tamatoas, right? Knowing that that Tamatoa has 4 strength, allowing my Maui Half Shark to live if I do challenge into him. So based off of what I'm seeing in his hand right now, it does look like he does have the outs for our Maui Half Shark, just in the form of Let It Go. So he's going to ramp some more with How Far I'll Go. As you can see, this whole entire game here, he's just been ramping non-stop, right? Tipo into Azurite Sea, into All Is Found, into How Far I'll Go. Like, it's insane how much ink that he has compared to the amount of ink that I have. So he does Let It Go and then drops the McDuck Manor. So this is going to be very, very difficult for us to get over. And very dangerous as well if we do potentially choose to B-prep his board, right? Because let's just say if we B-prep and we don't have other cards like Maui Half Shark to take it out prior, he might just end up dropping another McDuck. And don't forget that we're also playing a Ruby Sapphire as well, so he does have his own copies of B-prep, which means that it's only going to help him in the end, allowing that McDuck to stick, gaining him 2 lore turn after turn after turn, right? And again, that accumulation of that lore gain each turn is going to put him closer to victory because there's so many things that in this deck that's going to allow him to just have a huge, insane amount of lore bursts through Pirate's Life and the combo with Maui Half Shark, right? Because again, he plays so many lower actions that he can just bust out. So he can potentially gain like 2-3 lore with Maui Half Shark without even questing. So he plays a develop, he's going to gain that one lore, and again, he's going to play Nothing to Hide, gaining another lore, and seeing what cards I have in my hand. So this is very crucial too, right? So Nothing to Hide, what that does is that when you see your opponent's hand, you are now able to sculpt your hand based off of playing visions, develop your brain, grammatala, and how far it'll go, right? Getting the answers that you need to compete against that person's hand that you just saw. So Nothing to Hide is a very, very strong card. And I believe it came out in first chapter as well. Yeah, so at this point here, there's not really too much that we can do, unfortunately. It's just due to the fact that we did have a very, very slow start. Because even if we do choose to be prep in this situation, again, he has the McDuck, and he could very well just drop another McDuck on me as well, sealing the game. And then if I choose to challenge any of his Tamatoas, his Half Shark is going to be there to challenge my guys, gaining back an additional action. And again, that's going to lock me out and allowing him to win the game that way too. Because next turn, he's going to gain 2 lore from McDuck, bringing him to 18. Meaning that he really just needs to quest with his Maui Half Shark and also play 1 action, right? If I take out both of his Tamatoas. Okay, so I played Genie, and at this point I'm probably just searching for answers. I could potentially sing Pirate's Life as well, but that's only going to take him down to 14. And yeah, it's not enough. So I do scoop it up here. But on the bright side, we are going to be able to go first on the next game here. So in this game 1, the Ruby Sapphire player just had all the right curves, right? He popsicled turn 1, T-bolt turn 2, Azurite turn 3, Nothing to Hide, right? And then on turn 4, he just like went off. So that was like the perfect example of the power Ruby Sapphire still has in this meta, even without Hiram. Like, yes, it is more balanced because it is very hard for Ruby Sapphire to come back once they use up all the resources. But as you can see here, that both of those Tamatoas got back a total of 4 popsicles, right? So that's 4 additional draws that he was able to get. On top of that, he is able to recur back advantage with his Maui Half Shark, right? So there's just so many cards in the Ruby Sapphire deck that just still makes it good, regardless of the ban or not, right? And because how the meta is shaping up, like Ruby Amethyst still is not playing any Flynn. Just because the fact that like there are still steel decks running around, there's also evasive characters like Elsa's that can just exert it and take it out. But Flynn was a very big piece into this matchup, just because you can throw Flynn on turn 2, and that Flynn is probably going to gain you at least 6 to 8 lore, right? Because a lot of times the Ruby Sapphire player only has the Tipo to throw down on turn 2 that will be able to at least do something with, right? Like challenge one of my 1-drops. Again, like there's just really not too much, right? So in this particular matchup without Flynn, we just want to be able to gain as much lore as early as possible, trying our best to get to at least 8 to 10 to 12 lore, and then just grind out the rest of the match. Because at the end of the day, we do have a lot of draw power in our deck. We do have evasives, right? Genie does quest for 2. And then we also have our own special techs, like Pirate's Life, and our Maui Half Shark as well, that we're going to combo off, hopefully with Peter Pan Shadowfinder. So we do finally have the 1-drop, and we do have the Chernabog, which is pretty good in this case, just because it does have stats, and again, we don't necessarily have to quest out and banish it for its effect. We can keep it on the field until the Ruby Sapphire player is, able to drop like a Tipo or a Grammatala. Then at that point, then we can, see if we want to banish it for an additional card instead. But again, like especially early in the game, we just want to be as greedy as possible, trying to get as much lore. Because later in the game, Ruby Sapphire does also have their own cards like Pirate's Life that's going to reduce our lore as well. So very, very important that we just try our best to aggro out the Ruby Sapphire player. So we do play Cusco into his Tipo that he just played. So at this point, we would be best to get rid of that Chernobog's followers, because he's probably going to challenge into the Chernobog's with his Tipo for a 1-for-1 clean trade. Okay, so we do have a really nice curve going right now with Chernobog turn 1, Cusco turn 2, and the Sisu and Bonin Warrior on turn 3. And that thing is a powerhouse right now because, again, its stats are insane. He really needs, at that point, a Grammatella and a Tipo to take it out, or even a Maui. Otherwise, that Sisu will keep gaining 2 lore turn after turn. Okay, so he inks a Tamatoa and plays How Far I'll Go. And again, this can be quite dangerous because the next turn it will allow him to start playing his bigger threats, right? Just like Tamatoa, Maui Half Shark. And once he gets out Maui Half Shark, it's going to stop us completely from questing because we just don't want that Maui Half Shark to go off. Okay, so we hard cast Friends on the other side, drawing us 2 cards. Inking Diablo and playing Diablo, and questing for 3, bringing us to 6. We're still feeling pretty good here because, again, that Tipo isn't going to be able to take out Cusco or the Sisu. So in this particular Ruby Amethyst deck that I'm playing, I did choose to play Cusco and the Pegasus as my 2-drops and completely cutting out all of the bounce package. So no more Madam Snakes, no more Madam Foxes, no more Merlins, except the Merlin Crabs. And again, that's just because they synergize very well with the Diablos and with the Cuscos. My theory for this particular deck that I've created is so that way you have all these cards like Diablo and Cusco to be able to be challenged into, and then playing cards like Peter Pan, Shadowfinder, and then your other evasives to start challenging in and creating favorable trades that way. So I play a lot of cards that bait out your opponent into challenging our characters. Otherwise, cards like Diablo and Cusco are just going to keep questing turn after turn. So he plays Nothing to Hide, looks at my hand. I do have a whole ton of really good cards, like that Dragonfire. That Dragonfire is the perfect out to any Maui Half Shark that gets dropped. So he does choose to hardcast All He's Found, which is going to allow him to ink 2 additional cards from his discard, Exerted, bringing him to, I believe it would be like 8 or something. 8 or even 7 ink next turn. And the thing is with this Ruby Sapphire, it's very easy for them to get to 11 ink. We do have to worry once they do get to that amount because they could just be prepared, wipe out the whole board, and then slap down a McDuck Manor. Okay, so we are able to get to that sweet 10 lore right now, so it is 10-0. So we are still feeling pretty good. Nothing too much can really do too much to break our board. Unless, again, he B-preps. But because he would have to spend the whole turn B-prepping, we could throw down our own location as well, because we do play 3 copies of Library. Okay, so he plays Vision of the Future. But yeah, it is very scary that the Ruby Sapphire deck, yes, we do have a huge lore advantage right now, but the burst potential that Ruby Sapphire has is still one of the best in the game. Because once they set up that Maui Half Shark, it's very, very hard for us to really do too much against it. We don't have anything to out it like Dragon's Fire. And on top of that, his big Sisu shift, quest for 3. His Tamatoa's quest for 2, right? Okay, challenges in, I draw with my Diablo, and he challenges the Sisu, which creates a favorable trade for his Maui. Okay, so I'm taking out Maui with the Cusco, allowing me to draw 1 card from Cusco. So again, Diablo and Cusco has the exact same effects. When they're banished, I draw a card. So I play the Peter Pan Shadowfinder, take out his T-Bow. And because I have so many cards in my hand, I want to be able to force out that B-Prep. So ideally, I want to have at least 2 characters on the board, baiting his B-Prep to come down. And it's fine as long as, again, he doesn't have 11 ink to use for B-Prep and a location. Okay, so we ink a crab and we pass. Probably because we also have a lot of reactive cards in the form of Elsa and crabs as well. So we might have multiple crabs in our hand. And we also have Dragonfire too, right? So there's not too much that we can do because there's nothing for us to interact with. Double Grammatala, sculpting his hand 1 card at a time. Yeah, I would say like Ruby Sapphire is still one of the more harder to play decks. Just due to the fact that there's so many options that could either win you or lose you the game, right? Because when you're playing cards like Vision, Develop, Grammatala, How Far I'll Go, you really have to know the matchup and have to know your deck to know what to actually add to your hand. Because again, because we don't have Harm in that Ruby Sapphire deck anymore, each card that you're adding from the top of the deck with all those cards that I mentioned is very, very crucial. Okay, so we're exerting the Grammatala with our Elsa. And we could potentially trade that Grammatala, but we do choose to use our spicy tech, which is Hypnotic Strength. So Hypnotic Strength allows us to draw 1 card and then gives any of our chosen character +2 strength, allowing us to take out that Grammatala, giving Elsa an additional 2, making it 4 strength. Okay, so he plays a Sisu, taking both of our characters out, and plays a Vitalosphere. So Vitalosphere is very scary, just due to the fact that if we have any exerted characters on our board, he could just drop the Maui Half Shark and use the Vitalosphere right away to challenge into one of our characters, right? So you have to be very, very, very careful how you play the game with that Vitalosphere on board. Because all you need is like a Vitalosphere and a Maui or Maui Half Shark to take out one of our locations too. Nice. Okay, so we play a Robin Hood Sharpshooter. We are only playing 1 copy in this deck. And again, that's just our signature card. I love the card to death. What it does is that when it quests, you mill the top 6 cards or top 4 cards of your deck on the top of the deck to the discard, and then you play any action that's cost 6 or less for free. So in this particular deck that I've created, we have the Finders Keepers, we have the Friends, Brawls, Pirates Life, we have the Dragon Fire, and then the Hypnotic Strength, all able to be played for free with Robin Hood. And a lot of times I like to use Robin Hood there as bait, because if, let's just say, if the opponent does fear Robin Hood, he's gonna try to do something to get rid of it, because a seasoned player will know that in these colors, Robin Hood can get Finders Keepers and Friends, which is practically like a rapid bounce, right? On top of questing for 2. So it's a very, very dangerous card. And just because I know that I only have 1 copy in the deck, the opponent doesn't. So meaning that once they see the first Robin Hood, they do have to respect that Robin Hood. And again, this is what we see here, because our Ruby Sapphire player does play the Let It Go, taking out that Robin Hood that we just played. Which is fine, because again, like, the less Let It Goes that he has in his deck, the more live our Maui Half Sharks will be. And that's the main focus of the deck, not Robin Hood, right? Okay, so we play our own Sisu, and then we pass the turn. He does play a Develop, allowing him to look at the top 2 cards and adding 1 card into his hand. Okay, so playing another Popsicle. Playing how far I'll go, so ramping again. Questing for 3, bring him to 7 and then to 8. So this is where things slowly start to turn around, right? And again, we had the lore lead, but now he's catching up. He's very, very close to us. So things can turn around very quickly at this point. So we have to get rid of that big Sisu. That thing quests for 3 turn after turn. I believe we do still have the Dragon Fire, but I do want to save that Dragon Fire for the Maui Half Shark. And I don't want that Sisu being left exerted, because that Maui Half Shark will eat that Sisu. It will be a 1-for-1 trade, but regardless, he's going to be able to, again, get back in action that he can just reuse and get more better cards to shape his hand. All right, so quest for 3, taking us to 14, and then we're B-prepping the board. And let's just pray that we don't see McDucks being dropped, because that's like the worst fear, right? And in this matchup, he's being the first one to B-prep and then having like double McDucks being dropped. And it's the same thing with a Ruby Amethyst mirror match, is whoever chickens out and B-preps first is probably going to see like double castle or double library being dropped on them. Yep, so here's the first McDuck, unfortunately. And a Maui Half Shark, which is a very strong defense as well, because if, let's just say, I have any characters that want to challenge into that McDuck to get rid of it, they're probably going to stay exerted, right? So that Maui Half Shark is going to be there to just clean it up. But again, that's why we were saving the Dragon's Fire to get rid of that Maui Half Shark. Okay, so he B-preps as well. And he's slowly starting to creep up in lore here. But we do still have the lead right now at 14 lore to his 10. Okay, so we play our own location, library, just due to the fact that he doesn't have any other characters on his side of the board, so it is safe for us to throw down our locations now. And we do a 2-drop Evasive Pegasus, Unfortunately, the library does only gain 1 lore on the start of our turn, compared to his McDuck that gains 2 lore on the start of his turn. At this point, I would say the library isn't too much of a threat to the Ruby Sapphire player. It's just mainly controlling all the characters that are coming down on my board, because it doesn't matter if I actually draw with Pegasus, just because I don't have an insane amount of ink, so I'm probably only playing 1 or 2 things a turn. And again, library versus McDuck in this case, the McDuck is just going to straight up win, just due to the fact that he has more lore on that McDuck than our library. So he plays another B prep. Yes, we are going to gain 1 card from that library because we have that Pegasus in there, and then when it gets banished, we draw a card. Okay, so we play another Genie, drawing us a card. We just need 1 Genie to stick to get us that 2 lore. And then that puts us in like Pirate's Life range. Alright, so we hard cast Friends. Inking library and plain library. I was really debating on inking that library or not because I kind of wanted to just throw down another library the turn after. But either way, we were at 15, right? So I think having another library would have been a little too late. Okay, so he does Pirate's Life, unfortunately bringing us down to 13 and bringing him up to 16. So we were almost at lethal, but now we're a little farther away than that. And he now has the lore lead as well, right? His 16 lore to my 15 lore. So here we go. As the game progresses, the later that it gets, the more likely the Ruby Sapphire is just going to keep gaining lore turn after turn with a lot of his crazy actions. So we do have our own Pirate's Life, luckily for us, bringing him back down to 14 and bringing us to 19. So we do have lethal on board, and he has to take out at least, he has to take out everything. Or he has to Pirate's Life and take out some cards. And then hopefully that McDuck can stick for 1 turn and, you know, he'll win. But I didn't even see this. So he plays the Maui Half Shark. He uses the Vitalisphere, hits into the Genie. The Maui Half Shark's gonna live, allowing him to get 1 action. This means that he could potentially win on this turn if he resolves 4 actions. But it's a pretty big ask right now because 4 actions in 1 turn is pretty unheard of. Okay, so 2 for Vision, gonna gain 1 lore, allowing him to search his deck for another action. So he needs 3 more actions to win the game. Plays Develop. He needs 2 more actions. 2 more actions. Oh my goodness. Okay. And he plays another action. 1 drop. Nothing to hide. Last card. Can it be an action? And it's the Nothing to Hide again from the top of his deck, bringing him up to 20 lore with that Maui Half Shark. Holy smokes, that was crazy. All right, well, that's it for today's episode. Again, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. please leave a like and a comment and sub. Thank you. Peace.